Hey everybody, good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. Let me see here. Just try to get everything pulled up. Hmm. Are we even here? Yeah, we're here. I couldn't find myself. Maybe we should share the show. That was interesting. I couldn't see my own show on my own YouTube channel. Good morning to my beautiful wife Taylor in the audience today. We For the next couple weeks anyway, we've got the same days off, which is exciting for us because rarely do during the week. Look out. Um, I'm excited because I have no idea what the future holds. But tomorrow marks 1 year straight, every single day. Every morning when we start, the the sort of underlying theme of the show hinges on a song from 1969 written by Edwin Starr called War. Um, I was in the Marine Corps infantry, and I remember a former sergeant in the Army who gave up all his rank to join my Marine Corps, became a sergeant in the Marine Corps, and was leading us on a motivational run and sang War, having fought in it. I just find that profound. And again, like I said, I of course heard that song as a child, so it's not that it was wholly unfamiliar to me. An explosion of comments on YouTube with some misconceptions, blatant misconceptions about socialism. We'll get to that. Um, the Czech Republic has developed a missile that puts Moscow in range. Ukraine gets it for combat trials. So, hey, we're moving at light speed in terms of the Ukraine putting pressure on Moscow directly. This, I mean, tantamount to the end of the Russian invasion into Ukraine, for sure. I want to continue to point out Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. This is an illegal war. And also, Russia picked the weakest possible enemy in a neighboring country that is non NATO, non UN. This is why we say Slava fucking Ukraine, is because they did not deserve to be invaded, right? It's not like they were, I don't know, rage baiting fucking Russia into invading them. But we talk about like just war, unjust war. I sit here as an American whose country fucking consistently gets involved in conflict they don't need to be in. Well, hey, we ought to be really goddamn good at pointing it out, and we don't have to fucking live like this. Is what I'm really saying. And we need to make sure that we elect people that are like, nah, fam, being a violent asshole, particularly to your neighbors, is not ideal. You ever read a news story and you're like, uh huh, uh huh, bullshit? Here's one of those. Okay? So, here's a story of a lovely lady where they're trying to pin partial responsibility for the starvation of the Palestinian people on Hamas, which again, I want to point out, Israel created. So you can't, it's like the right arm blaming the left arm. You're anti-Hamas activist Ahmed Faoud al-Khatib, who says the how the fuck anti-Hamas activists? Why don't they just say pro-Israel? Says the group stashed tons of infant formula and nutrient shakes in the health ministry warehouse to worsen the suffering and fuel the accusations of Israeli starvation in order to blame Israel. This person lives in the United States, by the way. Post went viral, published by New York Post. So the good news is that person is going to. So again, what I don't believe is that Hamas. I don't think they hid food to worsen a crisis. That's so fucking crazy to even like. Only Israel would come up with some shit like that. What are we talking about? Like, God. Russian soldiers returning from Ukraine linked to over 1,000 killings and injuries inside Russia. So think about this is what happens when your war is wholly unjust, right? The people that you're putting in harm's way that you expect to go out and be uber fucking violent for your country, if they're doing so immorally, it is such a fucking heavy cross to bear that people come straight home and are hyper violent in their environment. Look, I when I came home from the Marine Corps, I'm just lucky that I ran into the people that I ran into that were like, "Hey, you're a big piece of shit. Why don't you work security for us and like protect us?" And it was like, "Okay, you gonna pay me? Yeah, and we'll buy your drinks." Okay, and I just did that instead of I don't know going out and trying to pick fights at bars and shit. I picked on the people picking fights at bars. It's true. That's funny. Now that I've said that out loud. Um, have a wondrous Wednesday. I'm gonna share the show real quick. Justice's waiting room. A daily podcast discussing news and politics is live on Twitch and YouTube. And then link to the show. Yeah. Twitch.tv/likely alien. JWR is the hashtag. Hashtag Twitch and YouTube. And then, of course, as always, Free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. Oh, by the way, hiding food does not justify genocide. In case anybody had any questions about, well, does that justify everything else that they did if they think that Hamas was hiding fucking food and baby food? No. No. It's still fuck you and no. So yeah, if you are on Blue Sky, I would appreciate like helping share the link to the show. Here, I'll post it in the chat. I encourage people regularly to distance yourself uh, from the likes of Facebook and all meta tools. So we don't do this every day, but we should. Okay. Every day we ought to say, hey, if you haven't already, it's completely okay. You're a grown person now. You can let go of all meta tools. You should do this because they're tracking you and they're sharing the content and opinions that you share on the internet in small groups of people that will fucking stalk you. So before any of that even ever happens, hey, you could just delete those things from your device. And that's Facebook, and that's Threads, and that's Instagram, that's Messenger, and that's WhatsApp. None of those applications, excuse me, burp. None of those websites are secure. I look, I'm one of those people where if I am telling you to do something, I've already done that. I also stopped using Google fucking Chrome on my computer. One of the primary reasons that I stopped using it had more to do with its impact on the performance of my computer. So understand as a techie and a nerd and someone that uses their computer, okay? Google is such a poor browser experience that it bogs down your computer. You ought to just switch to something else. My recommendation, of course, is Opera. That's what I use. Okay. Opera has a built in VPN. Ta-da! And you can also pay money for a stricter VPN. Could you just do that on Google and trust Google? No, you cannot trust Google. Stop. I moved to Proton Mail. So I'm just really letting the email in my jared.malata Gmail, that just shit just piles up. I don't pay attention to that. Anything hyper important is going to Proton Mail, which is the only secure email server. So you have to take steps, okay, to not only distance yourself from these applications that are fucking tracking you, but you also and sharing your information to people, to ne'er do wells, people who mean you harm, and bots. But you could also do this with Twitter. You could also, yeah, signing up on Proton. You get free email. You could pay. I always tell people don't pay. Don't pay. I didn't pay. Okay. But Proton Mail is secure. You can get rid of all those apps off your phone. You got better shit to do with your time anyway. You could be reading a fucking book. I could be reading a fucking book. I owe my wife The Handmaid's Tale right now. God damn it! I wish she reminded me more often. Okay. We said we were gonna read fucking books. Let's read fucking books. You're welcome. But it's not just Meta Tools. It's not just Google. Okay. It's Twitter too. And listen to me. I have always been in love with the internet and social media. I met my wife off the internet. A lot of the people that I'm like really close friends with, most of our communication is done via the internet and not necessarily like Jimmy doesn't always text me. Sometimes they use the Discord chat. The, like they message me directly, right? Like my closest friends don't even I don't even always see them face to face. Sometimes it's a FaceTime. Sorry, I can't really see the comment section because my broken PlayStation's in the way. All right. Okay. So, if I've learned anything, it's the value in practicing what you preach. Is by me telling you like, hey, I don't want anything bad to happen to me. So I don't want anything bad to happen to you. So hey, you just gotta stop using Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, and ideally, and I get it. I went to school for social media because I was in love with the internet. I have a degree in graphic design, and my educational focus is on social media marketing and advertising. I wanted to help people start their it's a crazy thought process. I don't even know what the job is called. I wanted to help people build a business and get them excited about the fun part. The coming up with the name and like the color scheme that you'll use and the seating arrangement and like I was in love with that shit when I was a kid. Um, but it's not like never been a thought that like feasible at any point ever. But yeah, I went to school to learn how to create logos and help people build their businesses. And I've done that and use social media with their business. And I've done that stuff for myself, for other people. But I met all of you. Most importantly, my spouse, right? Um, so I've always been a pretty guarded person, keep the circle small kind of guy. You know what I mean? You don't want a house full of strangers. So it's probably easier for me where I live. You know, it's easy to say like don't use Amazon because I live near a large city, right? So it's easier for me to say support small business when I can reach out and touch them, right? But I also want you to know the easiest places for us to go. My wife can confirm our fast food restaurants that we don't eat at. Fucking Arby's, Taco Bell, and Burger King. We could walk there and back and without getting tired. Okay, and we don't eat the shit. And our reasoning for not is not the same as other people's, right? Um, there are various reasons why we don't eat that food. Mostly food quality related, in my opinion. Food quality to cost ratio. Um, there are better options that you get, or a hop, skip, and a jump down the road. And we think. I like to think we think better of ourselves than to lower ourselves to low food quality whose businesses are owned by people that support this regime pretty flatly. And so things that used to be willing to do, not willing to do anymore. And it's a behavior change, and it's a noted thing. By the way, good morning. Obviously to my beautiful wife Taylor, and then Debs, Angie, Gabby, Stacy, Zeke. Bob in here today? There he is. Kara, Allison. There's a bunch of people here. Okay. Hope you have a fantastic midweek here. Yesterday, the president in chief, who's a fucking coward, the president in chief, the commander in chief, who is a fucking coward, Stacey said someone offed themselves in a Mexican restaurant parking lot in their car. Cops had tarps over the vehicle. Oh my god. That's awful. Morning, John. Uh, the this is what they're doing. They even show you the flight path. We got some fans of the flight tracker in our chat, and I went to Purdue and studied flight, so I'm gonna sit and pontificate on why I think this is some coward ass shit, and this is some no intentions of going to war ass shit, and this is things that draft dodgers do, and that's fly in fucking circles in restricted airspace and try to bait them into engaging. Because there's some hot to trot fucking pilots. Yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. I just shared a link with you, brother. Miami Herald. Okay, they're talking about U.S. fighter F-18 fighter jets getting into Venezuelan airspace, and if you look at their flight tracker, it's baiting someone. We talked about Volodymyr Zelensky meeting with the Pope um, to receive his support, or sort of like the Catholic Church's support. Some coward shit. As I've said before, you don't send them into that airspace without the intent. Popular gaming platform. Hold on. I'm a gamer too, so you're gonna have to. Yo, the Kremlin is swamped with children's complaints after Russia bans Roblox. Huh. Interesting. 63,000 letters from children aged 8 to 16, half stating they want to leave Russia because of the ban. Oh, and for everyone out there who wakes up and says, "Is Russia our enemy?" because you're stupid and have no understanding of how aggressive Russia has been towards the United States over the last like 50 fucking years. But here. Oh, talking about Trump. So, Russians planned explosions on planes flying to the USA from Europe. So, Russia's readiness for war with Europe by 2029. So, that's the first time really kind of seeing it, but take this with a grain of salt. Military NYI. I don't exactly. Uh, the writer Anzelika Kalchenko. Again, take it with a grain of salt. But the information sort of tracks, right? Yeah. The 0.001%, about 56,000 people, control three times as much wealth as half of humanity. 56,000 people own half of the wealth. And I just think if there were 56,000 less people that were willing to sacrifice others to be in that position, the world would be a better place. Um, that means like think about for a mental image of the extreme wealthy. Those one of those 56,000 people. That would be one person in a football stadium full of people, about 60,000. Think about that. And think about that when you go watch a football game. Like let's say you go watch an NFL game. Typically the home owner is at the game. That's the one out of the whole group of people that's in this whole goddamn building with any money. That's the one right there. So for me here in Indianapolis, it's Carly Ursay Gordon is the owner. Fortunately for us, she's very involved. She's down on the sideline. She's taking fucking notes. She's asking questions. Colts started off hot. Yes, I'm aware that now we are a geriatric ward, and a 44-year-old Philip Rivers is probably going to start on Sunday. Much to my chagrin, this is not how. So, hey, I'll tell you, this season was fucked. It's been fucked. We're snake bit. It's almost as if Indianapolis is built on an Indian burial ground, which is only half true. Food and fossil fuel production is causing $5 billion of environmental damage per hour, the UNGEO report says. Can you say unsustainable? So remember that I told you it's time to gather water, grow your own garden. One of the things that is starting to happen, so it's happening whether or not you do it or not, it's happening. But people are calling me and they're saying, Jared, I found you on the internet. I talked to my financial advisor and they agree that with the shape that the economy is in, if I am carrying 10 or more $1,000 in unsecured debt, and that's credit cards, payday loans, personal loans, some student loans, hey, I want you to stop paying interest now. Start saving your money now. If you are, especially if you're current on your monthly payments, most of the people I talk to are spending 500 to 1,000 or more dollars a month. We could cut those payments in half. You could be out of debt completely within the next few years. So not only would it save you money monthly, but think about all the time and the additional fees and interest that you would save by just getting out of all that unsecured debt now and save as much money as you can. Think about the rising cost of living. I am not only thinking of my wallet when I tell you I work for Beyond Finance, part of Accredited Debt Relief. Please look them up before you call me. My name is Jared. My direct extension is 2729. You can demand to speak to me. Okay? But there's no excuse for any of the people that listen to this show to live paycheck to paycheck with more than $10,000 in unsecured debt. I don't even care. I had someone enroll the other day with $100,000 in open credit, meaning like they could have still blown it out and had $100,000 worth of fun and then enrolled in the program. And he was young, like 5 years younger than me. And he said, I can't keep fucking throwing my money away like this. And all I could think is, we need a million of you. We need a million of you to just stop paying fucking interest. Think of what you would do to the credit card industry. Think about where all the money is when the economy gets bad. Credit cards, interest. People are staying afloat with fucking credit cards. my goal is for as many people until I'm no longer in that space, right? Meaning like I moved on to some other industry. Not only does it serve me, yes, that's what I do for a living, it serves you. Yeah, but think about the environmental impact of ceding land to Russia, who is resource hungry, so they can cultivate all of that rare earth mineral in Crimea and power their war machine with Ukrainian minerals. That's like the whole fucking war in a nutshell, right, Mike? Is Russia wants the rich mineral rich untouched Ukrainian land that includes what is it, thorium or some shit. Oh, we're like I said, we're we're past we went over $1 trillion in unsecured debt recently. Debt has exploded. Yeah, we we are the canaries in a coal mine. Can't imagine. John, I was in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war. Russia put bounties on American soldiers, up to $250,000 a mission. And I come home and my family and friends vote for Trump, who literally asked for the help of Russia on the debate stage in 2016 in front of God and everybody, and people voted for him anyway. And then said, "Oh, it ain't that big a deal, Jared." It kind of goes without saying, like the Cold War fucked people up. They became disillusioned. I remember one of the first things I said when I started this show was that the downfall of American society is Russian and Chinese misinformation. Yeah, Krasnov. So at least they're not warring. Bolivia and Israel restore ties severed over the war in Gaza. Bolivia's new right wing government said Tuesday it restored diplomatic relations with Israel. Yeah, because I'm not asleep at the fucking wheel. You know what I mean? I'm not clouded. I'm not the kind of person you put a drink in and they all of a sudden they have absolutely no bearing at all and stop fucking wholly listening to the words that come out of people's mouth and saying I could never vote for Donald Trump. He's a draft dodger. He asked for the help of Russia on the debate stage in 2016, standing right next to fucking Hillary Clinton, who I didn't want either, and nobody did. Everybody wanted Bernie fucking Sanders, and there's a reason that I don't call myself a fucking Democrat, and certainly not a Republican, but definitely not a Democrat either, because I think Debbie Wasserman Schultz is the reason we're in this situation. If I'm remembering correctly, she chose her homegirl, Hillary Clinton, and not Bernie. And I think Bernie would have dog walked uh, Donald Trump in 2016. Imagine, I often imagine in some alternate universe, that's what happened. We selected Bernie. He was the president from 16 to 24, and then clearly we've descended into the pit of hell, and that's the fuck where we're headed now. All because this guy's a fucking serial rapist of children, a pedophile, and not just little girls, little boys too. One of the things that's important to remember is during Biden's time in office, Donald Trump told Bibi not to negotiate for peace with Biden and wait for him to win and get into office so he could be the architect of peace in Israel. Because remember, he also wants to build a resort. He called Gaza the Riviera. I'm not misremembering shit. I just want to make sure we say, yeah, we could talk about Joe Biden. Joe Biden had 3+ decades of geopolitical experience. I think we put a lot of money into Ukraine, did a lot, but ultimately Donald Trump is a traitor to the American people, and his captors are Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, and they have blackmailed him. It's very clear to me that they have dirt on him, and we are entering into a find out phase where we are going to find out why did they hide this. And I want to make sure that I say, well, it's very clearly Vladimir Putin, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Donald Trump are in the Epstein files, which we know this for a fact because it already happened. So run your simulation, but you just make sure it includes the Epstein files, include Putin, Bibi, and Trump in the same room. What other questions do you have? And rape and pedophilia was involved. And how far would you go? I don't know. I'm not a fucking serial pedophilic rapist, right? So I have no fucking idea how far you would have to go to try to cover that up if you'd done it. Full stop. So I just want to make sure we say, like, yeah, we did it, Mike. We could have done more. We did a lot for Ukraine, and Donald Trump was basically running for office the whole time he was out of office, and showcasing his ability to have open relationships with the enemies of the American people. In terms of Israel, I want to make sure that I use my platform to say, hey, Israel of the Israel of today is not the Israel from the Bible. The Israel from today was created in 1948 by David Ben Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency. And the entire purpose of Israel is to mimic the United States' expansionist and imperialist ways. So, in many ways, Israel is just doing what it was designed to do with its Nazi roots. Benjamin Netanyahu is just the applique. He's just the one in charge. He's just the one that said, okay, I'll do that. Am I gonna get away with it? Okay. Get to live a full life? Okay, I'll do it. Unimaginable amounts of money? I'll do it. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about Palestinian people. There are any of these other countries around us. I don't care. I'll fight them. Fuck you think they're doing? What are they doing? Exactly what they were designed to do. It's a damn shame, ain't it? Working as intended. So, foreshadowing anyone? U.S. threatens the ICC. Oh, he bends over for everyone, John. Yeah, he is. Here's the U.S. threatens new ICC sanctions unless the court pledges not to prosecute Trump. Washington is wary of ICC actions against Trump after his term ends. He also wants the ICC to drop probes into Israeli leaders and U.S. troops, and it includes prosecuting sitting heads of state for alleged crimes. So I would say Donald Trump knows his head's on a fucking pike, one way or the fucking other. A traitor and a tyrant. The only thing that man deserves is to die naturally. No one kills him. Just let him fucking die. Disrespect the fuck out of his corpse. I'm dead ass. I'm not the kind of person to like. I don't want that headstone to stand, much like I don't want his star on the Walk of Fame to sit either. And it has been crushed, and they've had to block it off. Right? That's how I feel. If you're a piece of shit in this life, that we should make sure that your headstone does not stand. That you just push it over your grave. See, this is me not at all talking about being violent towards a living person. Now I'm not even talking about disrespecting a corpse. I'm talking about pushing over the headstone. Mm-hmm. What up, Deb? The USA is negatively listed for the first time in the Danish threat assessment. We getting about that time? Throwing his own self under the bus? Yeah. Canadian universities aim to attract top global scholars. So if you have kids that are brilliant, guess where they're going to college? And think about it, if you're an educator in the United States, that you've been getting paid shit, and a neighboring country is recruiting professors, where do you think all the good professors worth their fucking weight are going? They're going where the fucking money is. I have a feeling that this is significant. We talk about like the assassination of Franz Ferdinand as the start of a war. This shit going on with China and fucking Taiwan. So, Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi again asserts Takashima is Japanese territory. Dokdo belongs to Japan. And this is talking about South Korea. Okay? She stated, based on the fundamental position that Takashima is clearly Japan's inherent territory. From a historical perspective and under international law, we will continue to respond resolutely. Interesting shit, though. Oh shit, bro. Okay, so Japan's really been getting it, right? Check this shit out. What does this even mean? Japan issues a mega quake. What the fuck is a mega quake? That sounds fake. Japan is on alert for a possible megaquake after a magnitude 7.5 tremor hit northern regions late Monday, prompting tsunami warnings. What is this, 2012? Authorities say the next few days will be critical. Monday's earthquake struck off the eastern coast of Aomori Prefecture around 11:15 p.m. Damn, so a big ass earthquake late at night. The city of Hachinohe recorded tremors with an intensity of the upper six. The scale goes to 7. It's pretty intense. Hokkaido, Omori, and Iwate prefectures reported 33 people injured. So, what? Tell me, look me dead in the eye right now and tell me that you knew that so there was such thing as a megaquake. You're a goddamn liar. Oh, and I feel like we need to talk about some definitions of some words today. Okay? Are you ready? If you think someone is a leftist, I'm gonna make sure everybody just breathes this in and out. Okay? If somebody calls you a leftist or Antifa, and you wonder, what the fuck is fascism anyway? Let's start with the simplest way to understand a concept, and that is by knowing the definition of the word. So if you think I'm a leftist member of Antifa, oh, not only are you correct, but fascism is a far right, opposite side of the political spectrum from me, authoritarian, ultra nationalist political ideology. So let's stop there, back up a few words, and say, well, Jared, just like in the definition of socialism, which includes the words egalitarian, and people's brain fucking breaks because they're like, oh my god, what the fuck is that? When people see authoritarian, I know you're like, what the fuck is that? Right? Authoritarian refers to a political system characterized by strong central power, a lack of political pluralism, and the suppression of civil liberties and democratic norms such as the separation of powers and the rule of law, like Donald Trump's obsession with violating people's free speech. His obsession with eliminating birthright citizenship, I would also argue, is authoritarian. He's trying to usurp, ooh, look at me using big words, power. Remember, the president does not have the power of the purse, and he's normally not the guy firing a bunch of people. And the court has agreed with me. So again, I'm not just, this isn't just me and conjecture. No, like he doesn't actually have that ability. He can just say you're fired because that's like the only thing he knows how to do. Okay? But authoritarian, by definition, is favoring or enforcing strict obedience to authority, especially that of a government. So what this means is like the president is correct. No matter what he does, it's right. And saying that he's wrong, is illegal. He doesn't want you saying anything bad about him, and if you do, he wants you to die. That's authoritarian. That's exactly what that is. When there's one person and may make all the decisions and have all the power, that's authoritarianism. And when everybody has to be like super obedient to him or they die, authoritarian. So understand, if you're gonna throw around some words, right? You're gonna throw around some fucking words. Yeah, if you talk about health, it's treason, right? I know that if you're looking at the definition of fascism, your brain is like, what the fuck is an ultranationalist? Okay? An ultranationalist is someone with extreme devotion to their nation, believing it's superior and advocating its interests above all others, often through xenophobia, militarism, and exclusion, viewing the nation as a living entity, okay? Which she is not. She's dead. There's a difference, we talked about it recently, between being patriotic, which means that you love your country and you want it to be better. and a nationalist. A nationalist believes this is the greatest country on earth, she cannot do wrong, and I will stand by her no matter what, and if you don't, I want to fight you. That's nationalism. Okay, we do not we ain't that cool, dog. It's just like that. Once you realize you ain't that cool, your team ain't that cool, okay, now you can move on with your life. You're welcome to not being a fucking nationalist. An ultra nationalist believes anybody who thinks the United States ain't the shit should die. That's what a fucking ultra nationalist is. Okay? And then let's see. Dictatorial power. We've talked about how Donald Trump wants to control everything, even though he doesn't actually have those powers. Forcible suppression of opposition. So, how about refusing to? I think of Adelita Grijalva, 50 days, right? She wins an election. Meanwhile, he takes 2 days to seat his buddy. Mike Johnson takes 50 days to seat Adelita Grijalva. Okay? And again, a cult of personality. Donald Trump, the Trumps, MAGA. Is MAGA not a cult of person? Is that not a cult? And then he attacks trans people. He attacks immigrants. Why? Because he only wants a country full of people that look like him. That's part of being a fascist. So when you ask, is Antifa or are far left leaning people fascist? I would say fucking no. Because fascist is a far right ideology, you fucking moron. What are we talking about? You have the right to say anything that you want. Anything can happen to you though as a result of you exercising your free speech. Meaning there may be consequences for your actions. The government suppressing your free speech is a violation thereof. Charlie Kirk getting fucking shot was not a violation of his free speech, unless it was coordinated by the government. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That was just an extrajudicial murder. Like, that was just plain old murder. Somebody murdered that boy. That was not a violation of his free speech. That was a consequence of his actions and his words. Full stop. You spit that venom, you are going to get bit. Donald Trump is personally intervening and blocking the release of January 6 documents. And as we've been celebrating, Miami flipped the mayor's office. First time since 1988 that a Democrat has been the mayor in Miami. As it's underwater, right? The Trump administration has sent $45 billion to the Taliban. 45 million. 45 million. Not billion. That's insane. Traitors. And obviously, yesterday was a twofer. A judge unsealed Ghislaine Maxwell's grand jury materials citing the Epstein Files Acts. Zeke said they're happy with Miami Latinos. They had a huge shift. Good. They don't have to worry about their elected officials fucking with them constantly, right? This is interesting. Yeah, that's why the women in power all had plastic surgery to look exactly alike. Yeah, it's because he's a fucking fascist. And then also yesterday, it's worth pointing out Georgia Democrat Eric Gisler flipped a state house seat in a district Trump won by double digits. Meanwhile, hey, what I want to point out in the comments right now, we're talking about Republicans getting plastic surgery, and I'm sharing links where Democrats are winning elections in in congressional maps that they've never won in like 30 fucking years. It's like you could tell who came with the business and who's on some bullshit. Is all the Republicans are out here getting fucking plastic surgery to look alike, and meanwhile Democrats are fucking taking office. Christine Ohm already had a reaction to Botox. Jesus Christ. Young voters want AOC. Hence why AOC has been not heard from. Oh, by the way, lately on my YouTube, I've been dealing with some of the dumbest comments in history regarding socialism. For one, my favorite is when they talk about how um, violent socialism is and all of the times that socialists have violently overthrown a country. And again, I would say, as somebody who lives in the United States and studies history, um, that's never happened. Calling yourself a socialist and being socialist are two different fucking things. I am a syndicalist socialist, which means that I know how to read words and think about maybe we need a modern interpretation of socialism. Here, I'll give it to you. First of all, instead of egalitarian and people's brains shutting off, pro equality, pro LGBTQIA, pro DEI. Twat? Pro union. Join a union. Get a union job. Become a union leader. Run for office. And then instead of we spend all this money on war and we give all this money to traitors like Elon and the Taliban, we should invest in us. It's that simple. Rather than invest in all these foreign countries, why don't we invest here in our people? I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing, and we can afford it. We got to legalize cannabis, okay? some things are going to change for a lot of people. We got to legalize cannabis. That has to become our cash crop. A lot of people are saying the United States has to continue to produce corn at a high level, and I disagree. Let other people tear up their fucking soil bed. We switch to cannabis. We retain our soil quality. We get out of this mess alive. Kush is the fucking answer. Now, if you can't get the country to do it, you can get whole ass states to do it. Whole ass states have already legalized weed. Their cuppeth runneth over. They should be expanding healthcare to all their citizens. They should be putting money in the pocket of their citizens every week. They should be making sure that if anyone is a member of your state wants to get an education, the state should say, "Hey, this school will let you go here for free because you live here." Now, one of the problems that you get into with trying to put too much power on the states, I always think about it as if you can't get it done at the federal level. So I'm not giving up on the Fed being in charge, the Fed descheduling marijuana, the Fed deciding we should extend subsidies to farmers that will grow cannabis, hemp. We should clean our palate of that prohibition. Fuck anyone who's opposed to the survival of the American people. 33 of 34 developed countries have universal health care. We could do it here too. All we're doing is paying one person's fucking bonus. That's what all your healthcare premiums do. They don't even make that much money off us. We aren't the whole reason that those countries in 34 other countries there's a united healthcare, and the people that live in that country don't have to pay a premium or a copay or a maximum out of pocket for their healthcare, but we do. You do. One of the things that I get to say is, what did it cost for me to not have to fucking pay that healthcare bill? My right arm, and my hearing's going away. I have PTSD. Was it worth it? So again, as someone who went through that and says, fucking no, nope, we should just all get it. People should not have to go through what I went through to not have to pay for their health care. Finn. 56% of divorces are because of medical debt. There's a reason that one of the last things that Kamala Harris did, and oh, by the way, Donald Trump shit on that too. Kamala Harris made it so medical debt didn't hit your credit report. She did that to save marriage. I just don't think it should exist. I think if we actually fought the problem instead of the people, we would have the solution in hand. There's 3 million empty homes and less than a million empty people. Empty people. Say it differently, although it was true. There's 3 million empty homes in the United States and there's less than a million homeless people. Homelessness is solved. Find a house, rehab it, put homeless person in it, and help them in it. It is that fucking simple. It's called Habitat for Humanity. My wife and I have volunteered for Habitat for Humanity. And that's totally what they do. They go into a community, they buy a house, they rehab it, and they give it to a family that needs it, that is otherwise homeless or renters. hmm Many colleges are already tuition free under a certain financial threshold. And it's not shit schools. Harvard and MIT were the first. University of Virginia, University of Texas. These are reputable schools you could go to, get a degree from without spending a fucking dime, without leaving your house. No fucking excuses. Socialism's fucking everywhere. I just think we should all have it. And the only people that don't want us to all have it are stupid people and rich people. who are going to spend as much fucking money as they can trying to fight my message. But I'm right and I know it. And if you ask my wife, what is the absolute worst position for that man to be in? When he's right and he knows he's right, he won't shut up. Just can't make him be quiet. He'll just keep fucking talking. So that's what's gonna fucking happen. I'm just gonna keep saying it. I'm just gonna keep saying it. It's not that it's impossible, it's that we've chosen not to. Think about this. The President of the United States is going to give $12 billion to the farmers affected by his tariffs. So his decisions are forcing him to give money to rich farmers, actually, that produce stuff for other countries. And I think very simply, if your business is producing a good for a foreign country, I'm not subsidizing that. I think we gotta put an end to corporate welfare. I think we gotta stop sitting down with an executive from Raytheon that says, if you don't give us X amount of dollars, we're gonna go to other countries. And I'm gonna put my fist in his mouth and say, listen, you traitorous bitch, you are not. That's not how this works. We're not subsidizing your fucking business. It's not happening. Especially when you put a threat on the table of being a traitor to the American people. Oh, we'll go sell missiles to to China or some shit. You know what I mean? Nah. Mm-mm. 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 And the leadership of the U.S. government should not be standing up for big business at all. It's not your job. And we keep seeing it over and over and over. We see it in the news and all over the world where leaders go to other countries and they're like, will you work with our businesses? That's not your fucking job. That's who's in your pocket. All those people praying at the altar of the rich, waiting on that trickle down. Yep. Yep. MAGA and all those people that are dumb enough to call themselves a communist, having done no research, and say shit like all the violent overthrows of government involving socialists. And it's like, okay, you're an idiot. All the communists, the commies that violently overthrew governments failed. That's what you did not comprehend. Is violence is not the answer. It's almost as if democracy is correct. And it's our job as people to convince other people that we're right and you should go along with what I'm saying, because as someone who is not very smart, me, sat in data analytics classes and looked at the flatlining wages of the American people, where it's a flat bar, right? And the cost of living is not a fucking flat bar. It is a fucking rocket ship. The cost of living is skyrocketing and wages are stagnant. Do you see how it's like this? We're up here now where people regularly do not get paid enough money to pay for the cost of living. We have to do a lot of things, but the main thing we got to do is we got to find a couple extra $1,000 a month and put that in our fucking bank account without doing anything. That's called universal income. And if there are two adults in a house, if there's five adults in a house, I don't give a fuck how many people 18 or over, they get it. And you get it until you don't need it. And you can literally go somewhere and turn your card in and turn it down. Say, I don't need that anymore. But until you are able to pay all of your bills and have an emergency savings account in case you get a flat tire, okay, you are living at a poverty level, regardless of your income. I remind myself that constantly. No matter how much money you make, You still live at a poverty level. And it's important to make sure that you understand that what was most important to me was that the founder of the future of American politics, that the founder is just a regular Joe. I don't have a 4-year degree. I'm not rich, right? Couldn't even afford $1,000 to start the party on my own. I honestly felt like I had to do something to deserve the help. And I sat here every day for a year, 90 minutes a day, talking about the news. And if you think I'm going to stop fucking tomorrow, you're crazy. I'm just going to keep fucking moving. And tomorrow will be a little more celebratory because it'll actually be an anniversary, right? But on the fucking whole, the show don't stop just because you made it a year, okay? Would it be fantastic if the show grew and we made a little money that made it a little easier? Sure. But what do we need? Nothing. I have all the things I need, right? It feels like to me my microphone's fine. I'm a married man, so it's not like what you're looking at's for sale, right? So there isn't a lot I can do there. Um, you don't need a green screen behind me and a bunch of graphics and shit all over the place. That would just muddy up the thought process of the show, right? So even if the show did make money, what would we use the money for, right? That's one of the drivers why I never bother to ask, what the fuck do I need money for? We're here anyway. So I appreciate that you're all here. A lot of you have been here damn near every day for a long time. And I've settled with, I didn't want any of this, but I'll sacrifice myself to do it because I'm assuming, and I'm not putting myself in the category of your Malcolm X's and Martin Luther King Jr.'s and your fucking JFK's and shit, or your FDR's, but we've got too many cowards in politics. Too many people that are bitch. Not enough people that'll point at MAGA and say shut the fuck up, traitor, and work to help the American people instead of antagonizing them. You deserve leadership like that. And I did not say that I want to do that. I did not say I want to be an elected official. I am a coach. I want to help you develop a fucking spine and you do it. Not because I can't. I could totally fucking do that, but I think it takes away from what I'm capable of. Because I can hyper focus and I can really help some people. But I would rather start the World Socialist Party too. I think everyone everywhere, not just fucking Americans. I'm not a goddamn nationalist. I think everyone everywhere deserves a baseline quality of life. And by the way, the fucking UN agrees. NATO agrees. The US and Israel right now may not agree, but almost every other country in the world agrees that food, water, shelter, education, healthcare are just part of what you're owed as part of the human experience. And we're like the only country in the world that's like, we ain't doing that shit. Fortunately for me, the way I think about it, just so nobody ever wonders, I'm a disabled veteran, so I don't have to worry about healthcare costs. And I ask my wife all the time about our bills going up. So it's on my mind where I'm like, this motherfucker could get too expensive. I will sell my fucking house and move to somewhere else. I'll make it fucking happen. As a response to what this regime is doing. Eileen Higgins, the first Democratic mayor in 30 years. Well, here's a story I knew I was going to be reading eventually. Okay. NBC News reporting. Dozens of boys say they were abused in a Christian scouting program that vowed to raise godly men. Boys in the Assemblies of God joined the Royal Rangers for Bible study and backpacking. That's not what I thought that was going to be. I thought that was going to be about Boy Scouts of America, and you know what? Y'all can just have that shit. I wasn't part of that. All right. Man dies of rabies after kidney transplant from donor who saved her kitten from a skunk. Butterfly effect, huh? No, we just need to find a place to live. PepsiCo to cut prices, eliminate products as part of a deal with an activist investor. Socialism. Look, I keep getting text messages about selling my house, and I always give them the asshole answer. Like, I bought my house at, what, like $175,000? And I'll get are you looking to sell your house? And I'm like, yeah, $500,000 as is. And they're like, oh, you must have fully renovated. And I'm like, oh, you're not a robot. Fucking crazy. Hold on, I'll get back to you. An old winery to rehab? Hell yeah. Dude, let me explain this shit. So, the Italy thing is fully stemming from their politics, their pro-union shit, their massive protests, their strength in leadership, their standing up to fucking uh, terrorism shit, whatever. Um, but I had a client that was an executive, a woman of a Fortune 500 company, and they had a home that they bought for like 300,000 that was worth over $1 million, and they sold it, paid off all their debt, had a bunch of money left over, and this regime's in charge. And they bought a house in Italy that is not a fixer-upper. That's not what she wanted. She wanted a house she could put her shit in. And she said, Jared, I thought that house was going to be $60,000, $600,000 with all the land and how the house was just built up, and it's on a main road, and it's a walking distance from the town. So it says that I have no data. Oh, it's back. Hmm. So remember how Donald Trump's trying to sue Letitia James for mortgage fraud? It turns out, he had two mortgages and he claimed they were his primary dwellings. And that is called Donald Trump is a fucking hypocrite and a loser. That's mortgage fraud. That's what he called it. The Pope says Trump is trying to break apart Europe and the US alliance. Taylor, get on it. Understand. You don't want to buy lowland. You don't want to buy highland. You want to buy midland. If you buy highland, it's too dry. You buy lowland, it gets too wet. The water pools, you get too high, you don't get enough. You want to be somewhere in the middle in Italy. You want. I'm trying to think about once human now. That's funny. But yeah, find us a winery that's green. You can. A lot of people are wondering about the U.S. economy, and I always want to make sure that I use my platform to say, hey, the fucking stock market is not a good measure of the U.S. economy. What is good are the number of layoffs. Okay, and what I mean by good, good measures of data. If companies are parting with employees, that's because of mostly because of market instability, because of economic instability. Okay? Trump has tried to say his economic policy is working. It's just not. It's just not. Trump administration is going to charge a $5,000 apprehension fee on migrants without legal status. Fee will be imposed on individuals 14 and older if they're entering the United States unlawfully. A white boy moving to Italy is the most. What was that guy's name? One of my favorite movies. Transporter? You guys remember this movie? With Jason Statham. It's one of my favorite action heroes ever. The dog population in Italy is higher than people. That's probably why it's such a cool country. The New Republic reporting. Governor Pritzker is making it easier for people to sue ICE. The Illinois governor has signed a major bill to rein in ICE agents. Taylor, I'm just telling you. You want to talk about a rock solid business idea? A winery that uses its profits on dogs, on animals, like providing like a no kill, no harm shelter, food, veterinary access. Buy a bottle of wine, save a dog. Come on. Come on. It's a gazillion dollar. And it's Americans that moved to Italy and learned how to make Italian style wine. And oh, yeah. Dogs are super fun to pet when you're drunk. Because dogs love being loved on, and you're super lovey when you've had a little bit too much to drink. Hiccup. I don't think Mary is legal in Italy. You know what, Bob? Mary's not legal in Indiana either, and I have had no problems. Mostly because I've only really done it in my own home. I don't think they're coming knocking down my door. I don't think anybody other than my wife's ever actually seen me do it. So at this point, it's just a rumor. You know what I'm hey, and Bob, I'm being a smartass on purpose. I wonder if maybe I wouldn't fucking need it if I didn't live in a fascist authoritarian police state. But goddamn, you put a damper on me thinking about making my own wine and petting, and taking care of doggies, and it's like, yeah, but weed's not legal. And you're like, fuck! Never mind. But weed's not legal here either, and I don't really care about that either. Okay? I mean, this is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump. This is how people who cheated their way through school. This is how people who cheated their way through school think about economics. And I want to point out economics was also my worst subject. Okay, economics was my worst subject. But Donald Trump is defending his tariffs as he launches his economic tour, saying you can give up certain products. You could give up pencils. He's so dumb. By the way, uh, somebody somebody did not somebody did not ask around before they had that trophy made for Donald Trump. You know why? Here, I know. Okay. The complaint from Fair Square calls for an investigation. Um, Gianni Infantino is accused of breaking FIFA rules. He's babyish, is accused of breaching his organization's rules on political neutrality in relation to the U.S. president. So it's important to point out they didn't give Obama one. You get what I'm saying? You know what pisses me off? You can't legally send someone a bottle of wine and a spliff and say, "Hey, I know you're going through a lot, but try this out and let me know what you think." Legally. I just realized that. That's a damn shame. Seattle is planning a pride match at the World Cup, which is infuriating Iran and Egypt, two countries that That's what I'm saying. Like, did you ever just realize that you cannot order a fucking bottle of wine and a spliff and have it sent to someone's house legally? You could literally have anything else delivered. Bottle of wine and pre-roll. I think MAGA gay scandal may be my favorite reality TV show. I mean, shit. Sexual deviance. Wow, we're done. We're at an hour and a half. Okay, but here's the article. You guys got to be concerned with your food quality. Okay, my wife and I, we eat factor meals. Okay, so I am also looking at my food quality comparative to its cost and saying you got to be careful. There's a lot of synthetic chemicals in the food system that's creating a $2.2 trillion a year health burden. Scientists issue urgent warning about chemicals found to cause cancer and infertility, as well as harming the environment. PFAs and pesticides. This is what happens when you put the wrong people in charge. Your dispensaries deliver. Yeah. Well, no, that's what you were saying. Like, you could probably get wine delivered, right? You could probably order a crate of wine and have it delivered to your house. I'm willing to bet that you could make that happen. Same thing for marijuana. You could probably get that delivered. All right, let's take a look at the weather. Get the fuck out of here, okay? So a little bit of Eat the Rich. So we always start the show with war and with a little bit of Eat the Rich. And then because a bunch of adults in Hill Country, Texas decided. Wake up, kids. It's half past. You ain't nothing really changing but the dates. You ran slammer, but you know, Babe Ruth, you gotta. Are we Giga F? I've been swinging from the pearly gate. I don't know. Depends where we are.
High terrain of West Virginia, while heavy
snow buries the northern plains. Grand Fork, North Dakota, 11 plus inches. Winter storm warning in New York. Whiteouts in New York and Wisconsin is what they're saying. The weather is doing this today, so we're gonna go through bouts of high. Ooh. Okay. In the northwest part of the United States, mostly in Washington State, there's storms. Okay, as you move across the northern part of the United States, storms, and I'm talking like thunderstorms, in northern Idaho into Montana, and then the storms are running into snow. Okay, so that'd be crazy to see, be it snowing and lightning. That'd be crazy, right? And then as that moves east, you're losing the intensity of rain. So as it moves across like Montana and Wyoming into the Dakotas, it's just fucking cold and snowy. And then ultimately, when you get into like Michigan, Wisconsin, New York, it looking like sleet. Yeah, Michigan, New York, up into Canada, getting some sleet, and then the snow, the heavy snow is uh, going from like Wisconsin across middle of Michigan, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, Ohio, like I said, into New York. The blue on this map. So I want to make sure we should color by number, right? I'm a dum dum. Okay, the heavy blue shit is snow. So these things, snow. See a little sliver right there? Snow, 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 snow. Purple is sleet. Okay. The green stuff's rain. Yellow stuff is like thunderstorms. So everybody can see and read the map like I see and read the map, and you can see the moisture off the eastern seaboard. I don't really profess to be a meteorologist, so I don't really know how the moisture is going to interact with the eastern seaboard. So if you live along the eastern seaboard, be aware of that. That hey, I'm a dum dum. But yeah, keep your head on a swivel. Blizzard warning in West Virginia, Wisconsin, and New York. No surprises. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.